Good morning. I'm going to take this out. You're just going to make noise for a few minutes. There we go. Just want to tell you that I've been in ministry almost 30 years.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Yes, we want you to have a nice backdrop.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
Okay, sorry for that.
That's okay.
Okay.
But I was going to say I've been in ministry for over 30 years, and there have been so many Sundays where things go wrong. Where we had to try to figure out what to sing because people don't know the words, and so it's often call and response things that go on. So I'm just going to ask you to join me for a few moments in meditation. Just invite you to close your eyes and be as comfortable as you can. Knowing that there is only one power and presence in this universe and in our lives. God, the good, omnipotent. And that this good permeates every atom of our being, permeates all of life. And so that truly is a wonderful world that we live in. For we know that there is only good. There is only good. And so as we breathe in this love and life and joy that God is expressing as each of us, as we breathe it in, we feel its healing energy into every area of our lives. God is the very essence of our being.
Stuff going on.
We know that in God we live and have our being. And so this light surrounds us. Just allow this energy of light to move through us and touch every person in this room. As we send our love, we know it comes back to us. So send your love out. Past this room, past this town, past this country, surround the whole planet with it. Touching every living thing. And now allow the feeling of love to come back to you 100-fold. Feel it filling your whole being. See it healing and releasing anything that is unlike itself. Feel the oneness. The connectedness. The wholeness. And the life that we all share. This is loud. I'm going to put it on here. Well, I like to move around a little bit, though, so I'm just going to, if I puff too much. There's one of my favorite Bible verses is, "This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad." Let's say that. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad. And so today I'm talking about finding order in chaos. We all experience chaos at one degree or the other, and particularly this world right now, what's going on in it. There's so much chaos, and it's so hard for us to step back from that and to be able to look at it and realize that that's not truth. That's not the truth of who we are. And so what I want to talk to you a bit about today is divine order. And I have another affirmation. Every day is a divine order day. Let's say that. Every day is a divine order day. Were any of you shocked this morning when you woke up and the sun had come up? No, didn't you shock? And I didn't get shocked last night when it got dark either. Yeah. No, it's kind of one of those things that goes on and on and on. And it doesn't shock me to breathe in and breathe out. The circulation, the order in my life is not shocking. In fact, it's very, very normal. And nature itself follows this divine order. It follows the divine order, everything. In fact, order is the first law of the universe. Order is the first law. And divine order is beyond the appearance of order, of disorder. And it's beyond the appearance of intolerance or hate. And it's beyond the manifestation of disease. Divine order is beyond all that. Because divine order is the will of God. It's God's way. Order is God's way. And order in your life is natural. It's natural. The practice of disorder is what's depleting, because it's not natural and it doesn't feel good and it makes us tense and irritable and all those things. So we need to look at, how do we find order in disorder? How do we find peace amidst the chaos? So we need to ask ourselves a question: what is the purpose of our lives? How many of us have sat down and really thought about that? You have, great. What is the purpose of our lives? Butterworth, and I love Eric Butterworth so much, his writings, one of the things that he talks about is what God's will is. And he talks about God's will being the divine energy's yearning to experience itself as love. And so divine order is also the unfoldment of each individual, unfolding into that place of recognizing who we really are. And our responsibility is to look past what appears to be and look for the order, for the good in everything that we experience. And it's hard to see sometimes. You had an experience this morning with one of your people passing. And sometimes had to do a funeral for my sister's husband about a month and a half ago. And there's sometimes questions about that. How can he, especially him, because he was very young when he left, how could he leave? What is the order? What's the purpose behind that? What is the good that I can find from that? And there is so much good if we simply look for it. Because we lack nothing. There is nothing that we lack. We can't lose anything. We can't misplace anything. And we can't lose anybody or anything. We have, each one of us has everything that we could possibly want. We have everything we could possibly want. Let's say that. I have everything I can possibly want. Isn't that exciting, that idea? So what are some of the things we want? We want oneness. We want that feeling of connection with people, don't we? That's one thing we want. We want to experience life more fully. And we already have that. We already have the connection. We all want to experience love. And we already have that. And freedom. And we have that. And joy and peace. All those things that we want to experience, we already have in us. And the challenge sometimes is being able to find that inside us. But the reason that we have all that already is because that is what we are. We have been created in God's image, and God is love and peace and joy and all those wonderful sentiments, human sentiments that we aspire to and we see as the highest ideal. Now, sometimes we don't know that we are loved. We don't know that we're loved. And when we don't know that, we act out of places that aren't loving. And so sometimes, I don't know about any of you, but there's been the rare occasion in my life when I haven't been loving. Very rare. In fact, only yesterday it rarely happened, where I'm not feeling loving towards somebody. And those are the times I have to sit back and say, what's going on here? Why am I not remembering who I really am? And there are other times, I don't know about you, where I don't feel like I am experiencing joy. In fact, life seems hard sometimes. Anybody ever had a feeling that life is kind of hard? And you think, what's going on here? How come I have forgotten that my true beingness is joy and peace? I have a friend who was a minister in Palm Desert years ago, and he was talking about peace, and so many of us would like to have more serenity in our life, and that's what chaos creates, lack of serenity. And a lot of us would like to have more peace and more serenity. And some of us think that we have to go someplace, like on a retreat, or, as he was talking about, going out in the forest and sitting by a babbling brook and meditating and getting peace. And he said, peace and serenity is not about being able to sit and find it next to a babbling brook. It's being able to find it sitting next to a babbling person. It's that opportunity that we're given to simply take a breath and be, and not allow what's going on out there. Now, the reason we don't know sometimes that we're peace, that the essence of our being is peace or love or joy, is because we haven't experienced it fully. And the irony of knowing that we are joy is that we have to experience it first in order to know that's what we are. We have to be able to experience it. Knowing always comes before experiencing. So looking at the world today again, I hardly watch the news anymore. I find it just so upsetting what's going on in the world. I have unfriended so many people on Facebook who, have things on there that I just don't want to look at anymore. And I realize that there is part of me, the reason I don't do that is because I buy into some of this. I watch it and I buy into it. And it makes me unhappy, makes me stressful, it makes me afraid. So when I look at that chaos that's going on, is there anything that I can do personally to change it? Well, we can't see order in any of this chaos with our mind. I try. Sometimes I try. I watch it and I try to see the truth. Try to see the truth. And I can't. I just can't see it. So we can't see it with our mind, but our heart and our soul knows peace and knows the truth. Which is why we get so upset when we see chaos, because it's not natural for us as spiritual beings. So we didn't get some affirmations earlier, so I'm going to do some. To experience love, for instance, we have to simply express love. So the affirmation I want to use is, I am expressing love. Let's say that. I am expressing love. And how do we express love? Somebody talked about kindness today. To me, that's the biggest thing, to be kind, no matter what the other person is doing. We can always be kind. Expressing love is not being in judgment about somebody else, not looking at somebody who's different and being in judgment about them, but being able to see the divine within them. To experience love, we have got to learn how to live and let live. Let somebody else just be who they are. So, experiencing life. I'm not talking about breathing life, the kind of life we're walking around in this body, but I'm talking about life. God is life. God is energy and life and beauty and all the things that life entails. To experience that, we have to do it. To feel it, to know it, we have to do it. So how do we do that? How do we experience life more fully? Hot air balloon? No. Yeah. Hang gliding, anybody? Talked to a lady the other day who said one of her biggest things she ever did in her life was so thrilling, she skydove. I guess it's skydove. I said, how many times do you do it? She said, once. That was all I needed. She said, I experienced life. It went past me like you wouldn't believe. Every part of my life went past my thoughts coming down in that air with nothing underneath me and an umbrella up above. I can't imagine myself. But experiencing life is about, again, looking for joy, looking for goodness, looking for the highest and best, trying to do all that you can to feel the joy of living, not just to live. Freedom. To experience freedom, I need to express that. We're free. People that live in the United States are free, we think. Are we free? Are we free? What are we? How many of us are afraid of things occasionally? What were some of the freedoms that somebody was talking? The freedom from fear, freedom from want, freedom of self-expression, freedom of religion, all those things that we're free to express. Are we talking about that kind of freedom here? I don't think so. We're talking about free to be again who and what you are, the beauty that you are. And so the fastest way to experience all these things is to be cause in your life, to be the cause. I am the person causing love to be expressed. I am the person causing joy to be expressed. I'm the person causing health to be expressed. I am the person causing freedom to be expressed. You are a beacon of light. Each one of us is being created in order to express and to experience and to share all these wonderful gifts that God has given us. We can't get it from out there. I used to think I could. I used to think I could experience love and joy and all those things by having more stuff in my life. Have any of you tried that? How did it work for you? It didn't work for me either. I just had more stuff. In fact, I was one of the best donators at the rummage sale at the church. Problem was I was also one of the best purchasers at the rummage sale at the church. I was supporting the church. And then next year, everything was back in the rummage sale again and back in my garage again. It was a vicious circle. But I didn't get more life out of that. I enjoyed it, though. It was fun. There's a story that a Vietnam veteran wrote after getting back. And it was about this idea of experiencing unconditional love in somebody else as well. And I'm just going to read you what he wrote. He said, "We had just searched a small village that had been suspected of harboring Viet Cong. We really tore the place up. It wasn't hard to do. But it found nothing. Just up the trail from the village, we were ambushed. I got hit, and I don't remember anything more until I woke up with a very old Vietnamese woman leaning over me. Before I passed out again, I remembered seeing her in the village we had just destroyed, and I knew I was going to die. When I woke again, the hole in my left side had been cleaned and bandaged, and the woman was leaning over me again, offering me a cup of warm tea. As I was drinking the tea and wondering why I was still alive, a helicopter landed nearby to take me back. The woman quietly got up and disappeared down the trail. That woman had love, because the proof was in her givingness of it. She was able to give it. And he had, after that, I'm sure, this wonderful sense of gratitude. Because what a lesson we are taught when somebody is able to express unconditional love like that. Now, since we have everything we could possibly want, and we agree, we do. I say it again, I have everything I could possibly want. Do we believe it? Okay. Love, even things like money, time, friends, all those things sometimes we feel a little bit lacking in. We have everything we could possibly want. And so when we look at that and we know that we have everything we could possibly want, then we also know that there is a divine order in our lives that produces right and perfect conditions for us to manifest this in our life. When you know that you are experiencing unconditional love, you become a magnet for that. Have you noticed that? Have you noticed that? One of the things I noticed years ago, I went into a 12-step program, and one of the things I realized when I was there was that the people that I had associated with before were never, sort of fell away. I never saw them again after that. They were people that were friends of mine because I needed that kind of person in my life, somebody who was going to support me in my problems, who were going to cheer me on when I was in trouble all the time, who were going to commiserate with me and tell me what a terrible things that were happening to me. Oh, poor you, poor you. Oh, I used to love that. Sympathy, isn't it great? So anyways, they were the people that were doing that. And when I became somebody who began looking at myself in a different way, finding out that I was strong and I was capable and I was worthwhile, the people that were telling me I weren't there anymore. And I had a lot of people around me that also felt worthwhile and strong and who supported me in that. And so what I was attracting in my life was more of what I wanted to be, rather than more of what I didn't want to be. In fact, I had to focus on what I wanted to be and really not even think about what I didn't, because that's a very strong emotion. I don't want to have that in my life. And so when I began to focus and concentrate on the good, focus and concentrate on the future and look forward with confidence and excitement about what was happening, really neat things started to happen in my life. I think one of the first things that happened is I discovered a metaphysical church. I had been raised in a very traditional church, and unfortunately, one of the things that I was taught growing up in that church was that I was worthless. Anybody else have that? Yeah. And so finding a church where I went in and I found out, or I was told, it took me a while to believe it, but I was told that I was a child of God And therefore I was made of God's stuff. And I was love. I wasn't loving, but I was love. And I was peace and I was joy. What a revelation. I remember going home from the very first time I was there and I just cried. Because I felt so blown away by what I'd heard. And for, I don't know how many months it took me before I stopped wailing during the peace song. I cried, holding hands, crying, because it was so touching to me. It's such a revelation. And I had to look back on my life, because my life was pretty chaotic before I got there. Very chaotic. In fact, it's still chaotic sometimes, but at least I know how to get rid of all the chaos. But in those days, I didn't know why. Why was it the world so chaotic? And now I look at it and I say, why is the world, the big world, so chaotic now? And I realize it's because so many people are afraid. So many people are afraid. I was afraid all the time before. And so many people are afraid and they don't know the truth about themselves. Just imagine for a moment if every person on this planet understood the value of their life, the purpose of their being, and the fact that every person on this planet was what they were one with every person on this planet. Imagine how that would change the consciousness. So we have that consciousness of oneness, but a lot of people don't, and that's why life is behaving the way life is behaving. And so our responsibility is to maintain the awareness, to be able to look past our judgments that sometimes we're not even really feeling in our heart, but because we're, brainwashed by everything we see, we have judgments. To look past that and realize that that person is the Christ, as we are. To be able to look in their eyes. I had a woman that has been cutting my hair for years and years and years yesterday, gave me a hug, and she said, I really love you. And I said, I really love you. You know how you say that to everybody. And she said, and then she came around and stood and looked me in the face, and she said, no, I want you to know I really love you. And I'm thinking, oh my God, that was so, I started, get all weepy. But what a thing. We need to look at people and be able to say, I really love you. Not because of who you are, but because of what you are, a child of God. Everything happens through me. Everything happens through me. Let's affirm that. Everything happens through me. And it does. Peace is going to begin on this planet through me, through you, through all of us. Love is going to be manifest through all of us. Because we are that experience. We are creating our own reality, and we have the choice, we really do, to have order or chaos in our lives. And join me in prayer. How about closing your eyes for a moment? Could you turn the lights down a little bit?